What if the weakest wolf in the pack was actually the deadliest? For 7 years, Arya has been invisible, the broken Omega who can't shift, the defective wolf who scrubs blood from the training grounds and eats kitchen scraps, the girl everyone pities or ignores. They don't know she's a ghost, a phantom of a bloodline slaughtered for the power in their veins. The Silver Moon Wolves were legends, pure white, silver-eyed, unstoppable. Assassins hunted them to extinction, or so they believed. Arya's father used his dying breath to hide her wolf, to mask what she was. His last words still echo in her nightmares. Hide your light, little moon. Survive. So she became nothing, invisible, pathetic, broken, because the alternative was a grave beside her family. Crescent Moon Pack doesn't notice servants. Arya has perfected the art of not being seen, keeping her eyes down when warriors pass, flinching at raised voices, apologizing for existing. The pack believes her wolf died in childhood. She encourages this belief with every calculated moment of weakness. Then Alpha King Dorian Vale arrives for a royal inspection. The fragile equilibrium shatters. Isolde, the head warrior's daughter who has tormented Arya for years, sees an opportunity. Drunk on blood wine and craving the king's attention, she decides to make Arya her entertainment. In front of the entire pack and the Alpha King himself, Isolde issues a challenge that cannot be refused. Shift. Prove you have a wolf, or be exiled to rogue territory. It's a death sentence either way. Exile means dying alone in the wilderness, but shifting means revealing the secret that has kept her alive for 7 years, and awakening the assassins who are still hunting the last of the Silver Moon bloodline. Surrounded by hundreds of wolves hungry for her humiliation, Arya stands in the center of the great hall. The Alpha King's storm-gray eyes lock onto hers, and something ancient recognizes, something hidden. For the first time in 7 years, Arya must choose the safety of her lie or the dignity of her truth. The white wolf has been caged long enough. Chapter 1. The Art of Being Invisible. Arya wakes at 4:30, before the pack house stirs. Before anyone can witness her in those first vulnerable seconds when she's still herself, when her shoulders don't curve inward, when her breathing doesn't shallow into that carefully practiced fragility. She rises in the servants' quarters, pulls on the same threadbare dress she's worn for 3 years, and begins the performance. The kitchen smells like yesterday's grease. She scrubs the iron pans until her fingers bleed, just slightly, not enough to draw real attention. Pack members file through for breakfast, their conversations flowing over and around her like she's furniture. The warriors laugh about last night's hunt. Beta Marcus complains about border patrols. No one looks at Arya. Perfect. She remembers mornings when she wore silk, when her father would quiz her on pack law over breakfast, and her mother would braid silver ribbons into her hair, when she moved through rooms and people noticed not with contempt, but with respect. That girl died 7 years ago. Careful, broken thing. A warrior shoves past, deliberately knocking her into the stone counter. Arya gasps, drops the pan into scalding water. Her hand plunges in after it reflexively, and pain blazes white-hot across her palm. She makes no sound. A servant girl, Mara, glances over. "Gods, Arya, are you all right?" Arya withdraws her blistered hand, cradles it like it barely hurts. The lie comes easy as breathing. "I barely felt it. Weak healing, you know." She forces her voice small, defeated. "Takes me twice as long as normal wolves." Mara's expression shifts to pity. She pats Arya's shoulder and returns to chopping vegetables. The moment she's alone, Arya stumbles into the storage closet. In the darkness, between sacks of grain, she allows herself 30 seconds. She presses her ruined hand against her mouth and weeps silently, not from pain, but from the exhaustion of being nothing. Then she wipes her face, steadies her breathing, and returns to the kitchen. At noon, the announcement echoes through the pack house. Alpha King Dorian Vale arrives tomorrow for royal inspection. Arya's carefully ordered world trembles. Chapter 2. Ghosts in the Moonlight. The nightmare always starts the same way: music and moonlight. Arya is 12 again, wearing a dress of white silk that shimmers like starlight. The silver moon pack celebrates the full moon blessing, and the great hall blazes with silver lanterns. Her mother laughs, radiant and alive. Her father stands at the high table, powerful and proud. Then the windows shatter. Assassins pour through like black water. 30, 40, more than she can count. Their blades gleam silver, the only metal that can kill an alpha permanently. The music becomes screaming. Celebration becomes slaughter. Arya, her father's voice cuts through chaos. He's fighting 3 assassins at once, blood streaming from a dozen wounds. His eyes find hers across the carnage. To me, now, she runs, her child's leg slipping in blood that shouldn't exist, can't be real, but is everywhere. Her father grabs her, pulls her behind the high table. His hands shake as he draws ancient symbols on her forehead in his own blood. No, father, please, hide your light, little moon. The spell burns through her veins like liquid silver, drowning her wolf in magic so old it tastes like starlight and sorrow. Survive. When you're strong enough, shine again. She feels her wolf scream as the spell swallows it whole. Her mother appears at the chamber entrance, holding off 5 assassins simultaneously. Luna Selene fights like legend incarnate, white wolf blazing with power, savage and beautiful and doomed. She buys Arya precious seconds. Their eyes meet across the dying hall. Her mother mouths 3 words: I love you. Silver blades find her throat. Arya jerks awake in the servants' quarters, gasping, tears streaming. The other servants don't stir. They're used to her nightmares by now. She slips outside into moonlight that feels like accusation, stands alone in the pack's forgotten garden where weeds grow wild. Deep inside, something stirs. Her wolf, caged by magic and trauma, paces against the bars of her own making. Not yet, Arya whispers to the moon, to the ghost inside her, to the memory of her mother's sacrifice. Please, not yet. But the moon offers no mercy. The Alpha King arrives tomorrow. Chapter 3. The King arrives. The pack house transforms overnight. Servants polish every surface until it gleams. Warriors don formal dress uniforms. Even the air smells different, pine and ambition and fear. Arya works the kitchen, safely invisible behind stone walls and service. Windows. She plates delicacies she'll never taste: roasted venison, honeyed fruits, imported blood wine. Her burned hand throbs, but she's learned to work through pain. The trumpets sound at sunset. Through the narrow service window, Arya watches Alpha King Dorian Vale enter the great hall. The crowd parts like water before a storm. He's taller than she expected. Dark hair falls slightly too long, as if he forgets to cut it. His formal black coat bears silver insignia of the royal bloodline, but he wears it like armor, not decoration. When he moves, the warriors instinctively bow, not from protocol, but from the raw dominance radiating off him in waves. Something in Arya's chest pulls sharp and sudden, like a hook behind her ribs. She stumbles, catching herself on the window sill. At that exact moment, Dorian's eyes sweep the room, and lock with hers through the service window. Time stops. His storm-gray eyes widen fractionally. His wolf rises so close to the surface that his irises flash gold. For one impossible heartbeat, the noise of the hall fades to nothing. There's only him, only the way he stares at her like he's seeing something he's searched for, without knowing he was searching. Arya jerks back, heart hammering. She retreats into the kitchen's shadows, pressing a hand to her chest where something feels broken open. What was that? In the hall, Dorian stands frozen, jaw tight. His beta, Marcus, leans in to whisper something about the pack's treatment of omegas. Dorian's attention sharpens, but his gaze keeps drifting back toward the service window. Across the room, Isolde watches everything. The head warrior's daughter has noticed the king's distraction. Her eyes narrow, tracking his line of sight to the kitchen. A cruel smile curves her lips. She's just found her entertainment. Chapter 4. The Feast of Humiliation. The feast reaches its crescendo as Arya navigates the crowded hall with a tray of blood wine. She keeps her head down, her steps careful, her presence a whisper. Isolde appears from nowhere. The collision seems accidental, a stumble, a gasp of surprise. But Arya feels the deliberate shove, sees the calculated cruelty in Isolde's eyes as the tray flies from her hands. Crystal goblets shatter at the Alpha King's feet. Blood wine spreads across white stone like a murder scene. The hall falls absolutely silent. Arya drops to her knees instantly, trembling, gathering broken glass with her burned hand. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Gods, Arya. Isolde's voice drips false concern. So clumsy. She turns to Dorian with an apologetic smile. Forgive her, Your Majesty. Arya is our pack's only wolf who can't shift. Her wolf died in childhood, such a tragedy. She tries her best, but the implication hangs poisonous in the air. Defective, broken, worthless. Pack members nod sympathetically. Warriors smirk. This is entertainment. Dorian says nothing. His storm-gray eyes track Arya's shaking hands, the way she makes herself smaller, the carefully practiced shame. Something in his expression shifts, not pity but recognition, as if he's seeing through the performance to the truth beneath. Stand up, he says quietly. Arya freezes. Please, his voice gentles. Stand up. You're bleeding. She has no choice. Protocol demands obedience to the Alpha King. She rises slowly, cradling her cut hand, and finally meets his eyes. The world tilts. Dorian extends his hand. Sit. Eat something. The hall gasps. A king doesn't dine with servants, doesn't touch broken omegas. When his fingers close around hers to help her up, electricity slams through both of them. A shock so powerful, Arya jerks away with a strangled sound. Dorian's wolf roars to the surface. His eyes flash pure gold, and deep in his chest something primal snarls one word that only he can hear. Mine, Counter 5. Challenge. Under the moon. Isolde drains her goblet of blood wine and rises, her face flushed with jealous fury. The king touched her the broken omega, the defective nothing. The insult burns like silver. I invoke a formal challenge. Her voice rings through the hall, sharp and vicious. The crowd stills. Ancient pack law, invoked publicly, cannot be ignored. If Arya truly has no wolf, Isolde continues, stepping into the center of the hall, let her prove it. Let her try to shift before us all. Her smile turns cruel. And if she cannot, when she cannot, she should be cast out. Defectives weaken the pack. Murmurs of approval ripple through the warriors. Cruelty dressed as strength. Tradition weaponized against the vulnerable. Arya's blood turns to ice. Exile means rogue territory, means dying alone, torn apart by ferals or starvation. The pack knows this. They're sentencing her to death and calling it justice. Enough. Dorian's voice cuts through the noise like a blade. He stands, and his alpha dominance floods the room, making lesser wolves duck their heads. Is this how Crescent Moon treats its vulnerable? By making sport of their pain? It's not sport, Your Majesty. Isolde's voice drips false respect. It's pack law. The strong survive. The weak are cold. You, of all wolves, understand this. Ancient law, an elder adds from the high table. A challenge witnessed by the pack cannot be withdrawn. The trap snaps shut. Dorian's jaw tightens. His eyes find Arya's across the hall, and in them she sees something impossible. Not pity, but recognition. As if he somehow knows she's more than she appears. As if he's silently begging her to prove him right. Arya stands in the center of the circle. Wolves press close, hungry for humiliation. 7 years of hiding, 7 years of safety, 7 years of being nothing. She whispers, barely audible, "I'll shift," then louder, stronger, meeting Isolde's eyes. "I accept." Chapter 6. The White Wolf. Rises. They move to the courtyard where moonlight pools like liquid silver. The pack circles Arya, a living cage of anticipation and cruelty. Isolde stands at the front, arms crossed, smirking. Dorian watches from the edge, every muscle coiled tight, his wolf claws at his control, desperate, confused. Something is wrong. Something is right. Look at her. Arya closes her eyes. Her heart pounds so hard she thinks it might break through her ribs. For 7 years, she suffocated her wolf beneath magic and fear. For 7 years, she's pretended to be nothing. Tonight, she stops pretending. "I'm sorry," she whispers to the creature caged inside her. "I'm so sorry I hid you." Deep within, her wolf responds, not with anger, but with forgiveness, with hunger. With 7 years of suppressed power screaming for release, Arya stops fighting herself. The shift begins. But this is no ordinary transformation. Power detonates from her like a supernova, a shockwave of ancient magic that makes the air shimmer and crack. Wolves stagger backward, shielding their eyes from the brightness. When the light fades, silence falls absolute. Where Arya stood, a massive white wolf stands, easily larger than any alpha present, larger than should be possible. Her fur is pure as new snow, pristine and blinding in the moonlight. Her eyes burn molten silver, old as mountains, powerful as gods. Ancient dominance radiates from her in waves that make lesser wolves whimper and bare their throats in instinctive submission. The courtyard holds its breath. Then chaos erupts, warriors reaching for weapons, elders gasping, voices shouting in disbelief. "Silver Moon!" The bloodline survived. Impossible. Arya's white wolf turns slowly, majestically, until her silver eyes lock with Dorian's. The mate bond snaps into place like lightning striking the earth. Dorian's wolf explodes from his control, forcing his shift instantly. His massive black wolf responds to his queen, to his mate, to the legend standing before him. They face each other. 2 alphas, 2 legends. The entire realm shifts on its axis. Chapter 7. Aftermath of Truth. The pack house explodes into chaos. "Kill her," a warrior shouts, hand on his blade. "Silver moons are too dangerous. They'll destroy us all." "She's royalty," an elder gasps, dropping to one knee. "Higher bloodline than even the king." "Abomination! Legend!" Voices crash over each other like warring tides. Some wolves reach for Arya with reverence, others with violence. The crowd presses closer. a living storm of fear and greed and awe. Dorian shifts back to human form in one fluid motion, power rolling off him in waves that make the crowd hesitate. He strips off his formal coat and wraps it around Arya's naked, trembling form as she shifts back. "Touch her," he says quietly, dangerously, "and answer to me." He lifts her into his arms and carries her through the mob. Wolves part before the Alpha King, but their eyes follow, hungry, calculating, afraid. In his quarters, the door slams shut. Silence falls like a blessing. Arya collapses. 7 years of pretending, of performing weakness, of swallowing pain. It all breaks like a dam. She sinks to the floor, wrapping Dorian's coat tighter, and the sobs come violent and endless. I watched them die. Her voice fractures. My mother fought 5 assassins to buy me time to run. My father used his last breath to hide me. The spell, he burned his own life force to suppress my wolf, and I've spent 7 years destroying myself to honor that sacrifice. Dorian kneels before her, fury and heartbreak, warring in his storm-gray eyes. Who did this? The Shadow Syndicate. Assassins. They hunted my bloodline for our power. Arya looks up, silver eyes streaming. They're still out there, Dorian. If they know I survived, let them come. You don't understand. Everyone I love dies. My family, my pack. I won't let you. Let them come. His voice turns to steel. They'll face a king and his queen. Arya breaks completely, sobbing into his chest. Dorian holds her, this legendary creature who made herself small to survive, and whispers against her hair, "You don't have to be strong anymore. Not alone. Never alone again." Chapter 8. Shadows return what travels like wildfire across the realm. The Silver Moon bloodline survived. The assassins come on the 3rd night. Arya wakes to shattered glass and the acrid smell of silver blades. 6 shadows pour through her window, trained killers who've been hunting ghosts for 7 years. They expected a frightened girl. They find a white wolf with molten silver eyes and 7 years of rage. The fight explodes into the hallway. Arya's wolf moves like liquid moonlight, faster, stronger, deadlier than the child they remember. She tears through 2 assassins before the alarm bells scream through the pack house. Dorian arrives in a blur of black fur and fury. Their wolves move together instinctively, the mate bond making them devastatingly synchronized. Where she strikes, he guards. Where he advances, she flanks. They fight like they've fought together for centuries. The pack floods the corridor. Warriors, elders, everyone drawn by the chaos. They watch their broken Omega destroy trained killers with brutal efficiency. Then Arya sees him, the lead assassin. Scarred face, dead eyes. The same wolf who plunged silver through her mother's throat 7 years ago. Recognition flares between them. He lunges for Dorian, flanked by 3 others. They surround the king, blades flashing. Arya's wolf releases a howl. It's not a sound, it's a command. Ancient power compressed into pure dominance, the call of a Luna queen from a bloodline older than kingdoms. The force of it drops every non-alpha to their knees. Assassins collapse mid-strike. Warriors hit the stone floor, necks bared in helpless submission. Only Dorian remains standing, his black wolf turning to stare at his mate in awe. Arya walks through the frozen tableau and faces her mother's killer. The fight is savage, personal, cathartic, claws and fangs, and 7 years of grief given form. When it ends, she stands over his broken body, jaws around his throat. She doesn't bite down. Instead, she shifts back to human, naked and bloodied and magnificent. With deliberate cruelty, She tears the pack markings from his shoulder. "Run," she says quietly. "Tell your masters the Silver Moon Pack is reborn. Tell them we're done hiding." She releases him. He flees into the night, carrying her message. Chapter 9. The Coronation of the Moon Queen. 3 weeks later, the royal capital transforms into something from legend. Silver banners hang from every tower. Wolves from every pack in the realm fill the streets, some curious, some ambitious, all unable to resist witnessing history. The throne room blazes with candlelight as Arya walks down the aisle in a gown of pure white. Not the white of innocence, but of snow and moonlight and survival. Her silver hair falls loose down her back, no longer hidden. Her silver eyes meet the crowd without flinching. She is done being invisible. Dorian waits at the altar, storm-gray eyes burning with pride and possession. The mate bond hums between them, a living thing that makes the air shimmer. The High Elder performs the bonding ceremony first, ancient words binding king to queen, mate to mate. When Dorian kisses her, the crowd roars approval. Then comes the coronation. The silver crown settles on Arya's head, and she turns to face her people. The throne room falls silent. "I survived by pretending to be nothing," she begins, her voice carrying to every corner. "For 7 years I scrubbed floors and ate scraps and let wolves call me broken. I made myself small so I could stay alive." She pauses, letting the words sink in. "But I'm here to tell you, to tell every wolf who has been called weak, defective, worthless, that your survival is not a weakness. It is a victory, and no one will make you small again." The vulnerable wolves in the crowd, Omegas, disabled warriors, those deemed lesser, begin to weep. Arya's first act as queen is to establish new law. Pack members cannot be exiled for disabilities. Abuse of vulnerable wolves becomes a crime punishable by exile. A formal investigation into the Shadow Syndicate begins, with orders to dismantle it entirely. The old guard protests. The vulnerable celebrate. The realm will never be the same. 2 years later, Arya stands in the throne room beside Dorian, her hand resting on her swollen stomach. The pup kicks strong and alive, a symbol of the future she's building. 3 survivors from other extinct bloodlines have emerged from hiding, inspired by her courage. Isolde works in the palace guard now, redeemed and fiercely loyal. The kingdom has transformed. Warriors protect instead of dominate. Omegas have legal recourse. The vulnerable are defended. Arya meets Dorian's eyes and smiles. She is no longer hiding. She is no longer surviving. She is living. And her light, once buried in darkness, now illuminates an entire realm. 2 years later, morning light streams through the throne room windows, turning everything to gold. Arya sits beside Dorian, reviewing petitions from across the realm. A farmer requests aid for his failing crops. An Omega seeks legal recourse against an abusive alpha. A mother asks for her disabled son to remain in the pack. Every petition receives careful consideration. Every voice is heard. 2 years have transformed the kingdom beyond recognition. Warriors train to protect the vulnerable, not exploit them. Omegas have legal rights and representatives in pack councils. The Shadow Syndicate lies in ruins, its leaders executed, its survivors scattered. And 3 wolves have emerged from hiding. Survivors of bloodlines thought extinct, inspired by the white wolf who refused to stay buried. Arya places a hand on her swollen stomach. The pup kicks strong and insistent, already showing the fire of both parents. She smiles, feeling Dorian's hand cover hers, feeling the mate bond pulse with warmth and certainty. "Your Majesty," a guard appears at the door. There's someone here to see you. Isolde enters, wearing the silver uniform of the Queen's personal guard. 2 years ago, she knelt in the palace kitchens as punishment for her cruelty. Arya had found her there, scrubbing the same floor she'd once forced Arya to clean. "You can spend your life resenting me," Arya had said quietly, "or you can learn what real strength looks like." Isolde had chosen transformation. Now she bows with genuine respect, her loyalty absolute, a wolf redeemed by the grace of the Queen she'd tried to destroy. "The northern borders are secure, Your Majesty. No threats detected." "Thank you, Isolde." As the guard leaves, Arya meets Dorian's eyes. She sees her reflection in those storm-gray depths, not the broken Omega she pretended to be, but the Luna Queen she was always meant to become. She is no longer hiding. She is no longer surviving. She is living, and her light, once buried in darkness and fear, now illuminates an entire realm. The White Wolf is finally free. If this story moved you, subscribe to my channel for more tales of strength, survival, and transformation. Your support helps me bring more stories to life. Thank you for reading.